District regular board meeting Monday, April 11th, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. The mission of the Wilton Community School District is to provide education that encourages continual progress, the improvement of one's abilities, the expansion of one's interests and knowledge, and the growth of one's character. Call to order, a roll call, please. Joy?
Linda Duncan.
Here.
Tony Hurd.
Here.
Gary Mauer.
Here.
Rob Metzger.
Here.
And Carol.
Here. All right, agenda approval. Any additions, changes, corrections, Mr. Burnett?
None that I have, or there are none. from
All
what I
right.
can see.
All righty.
Will we approve the agenda? Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, minutes approval. We'll do the March 14th regular meeting first.
Move to approve the regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. On to the March 28th special meeting.
Make a motion to approve the March 28th special board meeting minutes.
Second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Lastly, the March 30 SIAC meeting.
Move to approve the March 30th site meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, no correspondence I see. Next is public forum. I see Lori Peterson is first on the docket.
Are you want to
Just
go?
in time, of course.
Ready to
I'm
go?
ready.
Okay. She's gonna talk about the last year's handbook and any changes that she might have.
There's the parent handbook and the staff handbook. I believe you received copies of those. Everything was highlighted, that's a change. First one being, of course, our address. That physical address will change, and of course Joy took care of that on my part, because I thought, you know, this street out here has 3 different addresses, so I just figured it was the last one. So, obviously, Joy took care of that. So, admissions policy on page 3. Page 4 was child responsibilities. We just bolded that, so the parents know that that's, you know, for emphasis. Page 5, the discipline policy came out of the parent survey that we sent out. It was a request from our parents, and so we listened to them and changed that no tolerance to, that if a child goes 3 months without an incident, then everything is wiped clean and they start over again. So, they have a chance to redeem themselves. Page 6 was the pickup and delivery, just kind of rewording of the sentence. Just getting ready to move to that new building. Page 8, we removed the line, note there is no free or reduced meals applying during the summer. We no longer take part, the kids bring their lunches. We still provide snacks. Power failure had to change, of course, with the new building. I don't know if there's just a few wording changes. Page 14 was summer meals. Swimming, we're still gonna plan to swim, it's just gonna be a little bit longer walk from the new building. The biggest change, I believe, is going to be found on page 15. Where we bolded again, that we have the right to increase the fees at any time if need arises. And the other big change is that we are going to have them have an active credit card on file through the pay schools. So that way, if they are late with their payment, this is one way that we can get that payment from the parents. Had some problems with parents waiting several weeks before they paid. And so Sarah attended some training classes, and this was a suggestion from some of the other centers, that's how they collect fees and the parents don't pay. So that's one of the big changes that we'd like to ask approval on, that a credit card be on file through the pay schools. And then, of course, the calendar updates on page 16. And I believe there's not very many changes due to that, except that, of course, we won't have to be closed anytime over the Christmas break because they fall on a weekend. So we'll run summer hours and summer rate during those closings. So the other closing is that we hoped to be moving to the location on May 31st. That's our projected goal, so that's the day we're gonna close. We're gonna try and start moving on Monday, Memorial Day. Sarah and I and Doug, we're gonna start doing some moving.
Be truthful, right, Lori?
On the 30th, and then hope to finish up on the 31st and get everything situated so we're ready for kids right away on June 1st.
Save you on that, we will move everything on the 31st. I have people that are gonna be moving, we'll move you first, we'll move everything that day, you don't have to worry about it on the 30th.
Really?
I just talked to Sarah on that, because I have people who are gonna start moving to school, Latchkey's the first thing we'll move.
Okay.
Everything will get moved that day, so just have people at Latchkey so they can put it where it
Good
needs
word
to go.
means, okay. Oh, yay. Okay, Doug, you're off the. So, I think that's it. If you have any questions on the parent handbook. If not, I'll move to the staff handbook. On page 3, there were a lot of changes due to the DHS requirements. They've changed a lot of their mandatory reporting, mandatory trainings that we have to take. So instead of it being like every 2 years, it's now like every year. So we had to change that. And it used to be that we had 6 months with a 3 months grace period for any new hirees. Has to be done the first 3 months of their employment. So that is the changes on page 3. And then the training hours, they've increased the training hours from, just want to kind of increase our, a little bit there, from 5 to 6 training hours to 10 training hours. So they're increasing our training hours. And that will be for all employees, so. Again, on page 7, we just updated the no tolerance, giving those kids, so that our staff are aware of that. And of course, then the power failure, had to change that due to moving to the new building, so. Not many changes to the staff handbook. Also, just to let you know, we had our DHS site license visit about 10 days ago, 12 days ago, and we got a perfect score. So, never happened. So Sarah has done an excellent job at following DHS handbook, following DHS policies, making sure files are ready, her employees on top of the kids' things, curriculum, they look at our curriculum, they look at her lesson plans, so everything was in accordance. So that is kudos to Sarah for a job well done.
Well, Lori, if this is your last meeting, kudos to a job well done. for
It
you.
is, it is.
She'll still be on as a mentor next year. but-
Officially, as of June 30th, I will submit my resignation.
Doesn't mean we'll take it.
I don't know how many years I've been doing it, but it's time to free up a little bit more time.
No, you've done a great job, so.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, Lori.
All right, Justin is next.
You want to have them pull up those bids?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Justin,
It should just be one big PDF that's
yeah.
got 3 bids in.
There's 3 bids in it, I
So what we did is we bid out, the teacher's lab, all the teacher laptops, certified staff comes up for renewal next year. Every company did it to me. They did it to me 4 years ago, they did it to me this year. They changed model numbers, like right now. Problem is there's not that much change. It's a new chipset, it's new this, it's new that. Our teachers will never ever use or see the difference. So to me, there was no sense in spending $150 to $200 more per machine for the latest greatest when the model that's there now will be just fine. Plus, it's proven, so that, you know, it's out there. The new models sometimes get buggy. These, I already know what the bugs are and how they work. So what we did this year is, especially with the change in the elementary and how the desks are gonna be set up and things like that, all the teachers at the elementary for sure, and then I have some here at the high school as well, will have docking stations attached to them. Theory is that way they plug in their document camera, they'll plug in their smart boards, and they'll leave those alone. Then that way, if everybody's familiar with the docking station, you push the button, you grab the laptop, the docking station stays. The laptop they can take with them, then when they come back, they can just set it right on the docking station and plug back in, and they're ready to go. The other problem this solves, that's not on here, but the new model supports the docking station as well, is this summer I'll be buying 4 more, 2 in each office, so that way when we have subs, and the teachers actually have to have their laptop with them, they can take their laptop with them, and if the sub needs to have a laptop, then Sarah and Jill will have laptops that they can check out. So, like I said, you know, the pricing for between 2 of them were pretty close, a couple $100, and then the other one was right around $400 more. But we came in with zones at $62,280.15. Does anybody have any questions?
If you put in your own SSDs?
Yep, we've done it before, we'll do it again. It's and the reason we do that is, we buy a base model, which is the cheapest. It is what they call the best buy or the hot buy. We will put in memory and we will put in solid state drives because the markup is so high. The memory to buy it from the manufacturer is usually right around $80 for that same amount of memory. And for the solid state drives, it's usually around $150. We can zip through them in an afternoon. We just take them apart, pop them open, put what we need into, and they're done. So, without voiding the warranty or anything else. So, we've done it before, like I said,
And this comes from one that sells decks?
On another note, Justin has agreed to stay on again for next year. So, we're gonna keep Justin another year.
Yep.
But he is going to miss Kevin.
I am gonna miss Kevin. I already missed Kevin, what are you talking about? He's never here. I can't control that.
All right.
Well, thanks, Justin.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kevin?
I got quite a few things to go over, I'm not sure where we want to start. Guess give you a quick update on the building itself. We're just down to little bits and pieces left other than this parking lot. We got a few cabinets that have been back ordered because they were damaged, and so we're getting new ones of those. Got a little bit of glass to put in the door windows and stuff. A little bit of carpet left in the library. Just, like I said, lots of little pieces, and I'm thinking it's probably gonna be about 2 weeks. We're gonna get the company in there to start doing the final cleaning of the building, so we're real close. Got our elevator inspection last week, which was a big milestone for us. All we've got left there is the electrical inspection and the final building inspection. The building inspection is contingent on having a parking lot done. We don't have to have the asphalt, but we have to at least have a hard surface between the rock. I probably get to it here in a little bit, but I'll just mention now, with the parking lot, we, had those revisions a while back, and finally get people pinned down. The excavating contractor's been a little bit of a challenge, and kind of the price he sent was kind of outrageous, and so I spent a lot of noon today just working him down, and now he's almost to the point where he's real where he should be. I got one more piece of information I wanna get before I say he's where he's supposed to be. And it is in line with what I've got written at the bottom of the budget report that I submitted. The only other thing then, the cost to do the changes is what's summarized there. Then we were gonna offset the cost with a credit from a concrete company that did the main building. So far, he's been dragging his feet on sending his blessing on it, but I told him this is what it's gonna be because he's not been doing anything, so I may get down to the point that when it gets time for retainage, he's gonna have to give it to us then. But it will offset, as far as I can tell right now, it should offset the costs that we are incurring, so. That's kind of where it's at. If I can get this all ironed out, I'm hoping the next few days we can get, the excavating contractor out there and start doing some more grade work. Looks like it's gonna dry out and have some good days to work, so, just trying to make certain we get the fair value for it. So, that's the bulk of the work. Like I said, a lot of it's just little stuff now, and we're real close. I think, this Wednesday, I think, John Mann's gonna start going through and doing some of his punch list work and start getting that going, because we're gonna start hitting that at the same time as we're winding down everything else before the contractors sneak out of here. It's a lot easier to get it done that way, so, like I said, it's, hopefully by the next meeting, we're done with this punch list. So I thought I'd say that. But that's where we're at on the building. Any questions on that part of it right now? Let's see, we're pretty close. I'll just go through the budget next. Quite a few things. What I did on this, it's a little different, is I broke out now what I'm calling part 4, which is the demolition of the building, so that we have a separate way to track it. And I'll talk about the bids here in a little bit, but the low bid, if you were to take, there's 3 alternates. If you were to take 2 of the 3 alternates, it'd be $29,000. If you don't take the 2 alternates, then it's a little less, it's $193,000. I just put kind of worst case scenario. The third alternate, kind of talking about it, but third alternate was some win that somebody thought of, and I'm not gonna name names, but to identify a cost of something, it's not something that, especially after seeing it's worth pursuing, so kind of when you look at it, you know, alternate 3, kind of one of those things I didn't have a lot of say in. So we had $350,000 to start with. If we were to spend the $209 or the $193, wherever it ends up at the end, there will obviously be some savings on that. I haven't gotten an asbestos report back yet on the building, so I just plugged a number in there. Ideally, that's way high, but until I see a report, I can't begin to guess. But that way, I've got something plugged in there for it. And what I did with the difference of the $350,000, I put it under contingency. That's the 66. It doesn't go all the way over in terms of saying we got savings of that yet. I just kind of want to see how things shake out when that project gets going before I say, yeah, that's true savings. I mean, but there will be some, I just don't know how much at this point. Kind of those deals that.
How soon will we know on the asbestos?
I haven't really a good answer from John, but he did the sampling a week or so ago, and it takes, I think, 10 to 14 days to run through the laboratory, do all that, so hopefully very shortly you're up and getting something.
As Kevin mentioned, that's the last variable that's the unknown, as far as the cost of demolition.
Once we have that scope, then we can put together something and send out and get the prices on. Not so much, anyways, just start plugging in some more. And then on the part 4, what I did is the third line item there, that was what I had been carrying at the bottom for having somebody from Point Doors out there supervising the work on the demolition. It's probably a little bit higher than what it'll end up being, since mostly we're just providing the person out there to supervise. We're not going to be doing any work or anything like that, so The thing I'm not sure about is how much, time that you would expect us to supervise that work. Because a lot of times you can, if I brought a guy out here 8 hours a day, he's just gonna be sitting there watching you guys tear a building down. But on the flip side, sometimes you want somebody there just to, in case something comes up. Usually at the beginning, when they get started, you want somebody watching. Once they get going, it's just a matter of watching the trucks. And so from a value point of view, I don't know, it might be better to have somebody come by and swing by during the day or whatever, rather than be here full-time. But if you want somebody here full-time, we can do that too. That's allowed in here, but if you don't do full-time, it just lowers the cost of what we had anticipated. So, I mean, that's something we can discuss later, it's just kind of throwing it out there. Other than that, you know, the other thing that really changed is that the construction manager fee, of course, went down some since the demolition project looks to be a lot cheaper. It automatically adjusts for it, because everything's based on total construction cost. So that would come down a little bit. So getting to the bottom line numbers, under the contracts, right now we're projecting $14,223,000 of the construction side, and then probably got to doing the internal work, which is, keep going further down, it's about a $55,000 drop from what I had said in my last report. And the bulk of that's got to do with the demolition, being cheaper than we thought it would be, so your overall project cost, at least from the construction side, dropped about $55,000 this last month. The contingency for the project in general is at $58,204. That's about $1,900 less than last month, and that's got to do with some of the changes that I'll talk about here at the bottom. But for all intents and purposes, it's about even with last month. And what you can see in the list at the bottom, some things that have come up. I recognize some more contingency that was in our budget as savings rather than potential spending, because we are just about done. I don't see a lot coming up from that. The parking lot, again, I might not project that to be a $0. Next couple items are a little tougher to discuss. One of them I think you already knew about, the other one I don't know if it ever got all the way out or not. But item number 3, some sinks. What happened is there's 3 sinks in the art room and 1 in the latchkey that the engineer at bid time had spec'd out to be this particular sink. And when we do a bidding, a lot of times we have what we call the addendums, where they make some minor changes during the bid process. In that addendum, they deleted those 4 sinks because it wasn't what they wanted to put in there. Problem was they forgot to put back the new ones. And plumber started figuring that out when he started sorting the sinks out, trying to figure out what he's going to install. And it's like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And so that's what that is getting those 4 sinks. And the difference in the sinks from what he bid versus what we're installing is about the depth of it by about 1 5/8 inches. That's the only difference on the sinks. So from a cost point of view, I looked it up, and the cost for either sink's about the same. So, you know, there's not a cost increase for changing the sinks, it just wasn't in the bid. But that's what's going on with that, is when they deleted it, they forgot to add back in what they were changing to. And number 4, I've sent some information to you in the past, and I don't know what else to say about it, but that's where the cost ended up going to. Those two, number 3 and 4, are 2 of the change orders that are on your docket for the night to look at. And the third change order is related to number 5. Part of it we handled last month, which is the electrical portion of that item, but there's a heating, air conditioning type piece that had to be added in. There was a lot of dispute over what it should cost. And we just told them to do it on a time and material, to track what it costs, and that's what they did. And it cost them about $50 less. But that would be the other change order that's on there, just to handle that mechanical side of things. So those are the 3 you see tonight, and those 3 you can drop off the list. Or maybe nothing on the list tonight. But,
John mentioned about his engineer picking up 10% of the cost of smoke detector additions. Is that reflected, or is that still in the works?
that isn't reflected here, because he had kind of said something, but I didn't know where it was going or what he was doing, so I don't have that information, I just knew there was something floating out there. And I think the electrical's fighting it, but he's saying tough luck. But, that goes back to those credits that he'd offered before, where he said about 10% is the value of if they've been in the bid versus not in the bid kind of thing, so that's where that's coming from, it's a very similar concept.
Will you talk with John and either have him or yourself email the board an update when you find out what he's doing on that as far as where that's at, to keep us in the loop,
Okay.
please?
Make a note, I'll forget. The other thing I wanted to mention was, what do I see as, other changes floating out there? There's very little, besides what I've had on this initial list. I've got one item that I see as a probable, or not probable, would be an ad, and I've talked about it before. When we did all this parking lot before, we had that big pile of soupy mud out there. We still gotta move that. I did, the same time I got this parking lot price, I got this price to do that. I did a quick check on it, he just said $5,000, and after doing some math, it might actually be, he's a little cheaper than what it could have been, in the sense that when I measured the pile out there, there's about, I wanna say between 50 and 55 truckloads of dirt to move. And when you start doing how fast can we move trucks and the equipment and all that, it actually is a pretty good rate. I was hoping we could reuse some of it, but it doesn't work well for under parking lots. It's not a very good structural fill type thing for parking lots, so.
That's under $100 a load. You know, think about a round trip.
I have this big excavator out here, that's what really costs. But that was the only other ad that I'm aware of at this point. I got some credits coming back from Woodruff Construction for some work that they didn't do. They've been dragging their feet for about 6 months on it. But I think they'll eventually own up to it, they just haven't. I'm guessing it could be in the $2,000 savings range, ideally be higher, but when it comes to credit, you get a fight for them. So we'll see where it gets, but say at least 2,000. Tri-County Construction has 3 items out there that are all credits, and I think the total of those would be at least $2,000. You got 4,000 savings coming from those 2 items that at minimum, I'm hoping it's more. So those are the change orders that would affect project costs. And then I've got 2 other items that are essentially contractor back charges, which is just a $0, but it's gotta go through the change order process. And when one guy gets paid, it's taken away from the other contractor, but he has to go through the contract change order process because that's what the contract is under. So,
Kevin, these change orders you have listed on your budget sheet, they're already reflected in the top numbers, correct?
yes. The only thing I didn't have reflected would be moving the pile of mud. That I just got shortly. Is it not mud anymore? I actually stood on it.
Good.
I didn't think it's good sign.
That is a good sign.
It's not what it was.
You know, all that too, we're accurate.
Yeah, we were gonna put, there's a pile over there, I mean, that's got a lot more black dirt in it, and we're gonna put it kind of on the side so that if it wants to be used for something else, it might be something good for just some minor fill stuff, you know, that's, school does things. The only other thing I don't have reflected here is these credits that are pending, because I don't know for sure what they're gonna be. But everything else should be reflected in the numbers above. Like I said, with just all this little stuff left, the biggest things I could see is if an inspector comes along and decides he wants something different, that's the biggest I know right now, because I can't control the inspector. But, if we're down to just those little bitty items, I don't know how that could be ads, but I've been surprised before. That's the budget, I guess, that I've got for you, so if there's any questions right now on it.
Can you go back to the bid sheet so I know what to recommend to the board?
Yeah, that was gonna be the next time, I just wanted to.
Oh, I thought you already talked about that a little bit.
Well, I just wanna make sure nobody has questions on what we just discussed. I started to talk about it a little bit.
Well, back to your original budget, we have a work session right now scheduled for the 27th of April. I think it'd maybe be good as we get closer to that point, if you and John could attend or whatnot, go over the final budgetary pieces and just kind of wrap this up, because we
Okay.
should be getting to that point
Yeah.
here within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. I sent the bid tabulation, and I think the bids were also put in there. I'm just going off the bid tabulation, if you're looking at anything on your screen. DW Zinsser was the low bid, he was extremely low. I once had a project where they said they got the blue light special, I think we're getting the blue light special here, and I would run with it. I sat down with him last week, and he says he's comfortable with the price, he's comfortable, he's ready to go. One of the things I think I was in your favor is, he is definitely gonna be using, Brett to haul his concrete debris out to. So therefore, it's a very short haul, he doesn't have to deal with landfill fees. And I think that was a big plus. Some of these other guys, I'm not sure what they were doing. The
Can you
second
confirm that with Brett Grings as far as he's 100%?
I had given this contractor his name, and he was gonna call him, so.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody's on board.
Yeah.
Say approved.
I had met with Brett before the bid even went out, just to kind of see
Okay.
what he was thinking, and, you know, he seemed all on board for it at that time,
Okay,
so. And I think they talked too, so.
okay.
In terms of the other bids, you did have another one that was a pretty good price, that Holtz Trucking, I'm not familiar with them myself, they're out of Quad Cities. You know, they were below budget, and the other three were more in the range where I thought it was gonna go, so. Like I said, I think you guys got a good price, and you guys are comfortable with it. And again, looking at the two alternates, number 1 and 2, you know, one's to delete the concrete and playground, that's by latchkey. And number 2 is to get rid of the latchkey building itself and the concrete down there. And that was, I think, some discussions back and forth with the city, so I don't know where it's going. Like I said,
The number 1 is what I would see us adding on, and that is basically that blacktop surfacing just to the north of the building. Correct? Is that what that 4,200 is?
No, that is the playground equipment where you got all the rubber mats and playground, in the southwest.
So does the original bid include?
All the asphalt.
Oh, well, good.
The only thing we did not include was essentially from the, I can get my directions straight, that would be west, I think, the west end, where you got all the relatively nice looking concrete, that was all gonna stay, everything was that concrete.
Good.
line.
That's what we want.
Yeah. I mean, they may have to, and we told them, you know, they may have to cut some right around the corner of the building to get foundations out, but the idea was, we thought it was pretty good concrete, and if these other two items stayed, then that's a good starting point for having a pad.
So we don't need any of these alternatives, or alternates
Yeah.
added, which is great.
Yeah. If you're comfortable leaving those, not doing the demo, it's.
What's the time? Why is there an X under time for, and you know, he's the only one that didn't have time.
Yeah, what he had told me was that he wasn't sure when he would get started, but he told me he's got about, he budgeted, when he looked at his proposal, he said he had 8 weeks in there. Which would be 40 days.
40 work days, yeah.
But he wasn't sure how to do it, because he thought that, you know, because the abatement's kind of gonna determine when we can start, and we couldn't give him a good answer on that. So that's kind of why he didn't, but he did tell me to sit down and get 8 weeks in there.
Okay.
And this is the same contractor that's doing the Muscatine job, they're just getting ready to start that, so we can get the manpower over there. And he said he's got a job over at Iowa City at the university, I believe, a big job there, he's gonna be starting shortly too, so. He's got work going, and it's in the area.
They have the time frame we're looking at for demolition then?
I'm guessing it's probably gonna be close to mid-July, gives a couple of weeks more for the abatement part. We were hoping after July 4th, but depending on how the abatement works with the activities you guys have, and I understand that you're looking at maybe a sale or something towards the
On
end
the
of July.
25th.
That kind of limits how much abatement you can do unless there's a way to isolate it. But, I mean, those are plans we can figure out, and the sooner we get it done, the better, but that's what we've got going right now.
Perfect.
We only have to, we gotta get out of it.
Well, I think right now, there's an auction planned for Saturday the 25th, but after that, that's That's when they get, you know, full-time abatement, and that building will be, you know, ready to come down up there. Unless I hear something, you know, we gotta find out that abatement piece, that's the,
Yeah,
the
that's what
driver.
we're waiting for the report to see really what the scope is, and then what we can, and then we gotta talk about what we can attack, you know, you got your, reunion or whatever.
Yep, the
you
weekend
call it.
before.
Yeah, and so, you know, my question there always has been, is that gonna be one of those things where they walk through the whole building, which I thought it might be, that limits us just to the mechanical room for places to work. So we couldn't even start abatement until after that, other than mechanical rooms, pipes and stuff.
And
terms of
stuff
this-
too, I mean, depending on what they do mechanically, if they have to take pipes apart or whatnot, they're gonna need restrooms
Yeah.
for the, so,
I think a lot of it's gonna be the heating system, versus the
Jimmy
plumbing.
shows you.
And, again, I don't know about the sale, how that's gonna be set up, if you're gonna still need access to. The, feedback I heard was that probably the 52 edition is gonna be the most suspect for like having to do flooring or ceilings or anything besides plumbing pipes. So that would be the section that we'd like to focus on if there ever was an opportunity, but, you know, we're gonna work with you guys, so.
Be busy, but it's weird.
Any other questions? I think that's all I've got for you.
Excellent. 193.
Okay.
Very good price.
Thank you, Kevin. All right. No recognition, business financial functions, Stacy, please.
Number 11, taxation fund financials. Anyone have any questions or comments? Financials ending March 31st. the only thing that these funds can be spent on are the program, and she will be buying, several new items for the new room that we discussed at our budget meeting, with Lori Peterson and Sarah and myself. And the next one, I think I mentioned last month that we were going to wait and look at rates, at the end of the summer to see if we needed to do something for next year, but it didn't make sense to raise rates when they're still balance of $40,000. Any questions or comments? Attached is the period vendor report for Latchkey. So pretty much month to month, all their expenditures are for snacks, as she buys very little consumable supplies, and then insurance and salary and benefits, and every once in a while, the staff development. And this month, we happen to have a refund of a parent who actually paid ahead of time, and that is no longer using the program, so we had to refund some of the money. 16, child nutrition fund. The usage at the top for breakfast and lunch programs for the month of March and year-to-date since August, so school year-to-date. And financials on the second page. And as is normal this time of year, the balance continues to grow. To have funds will be available for the 3 months of contract payouts in June. Any questions or comments? 17, the period vendor report for nutrition fund for the month of March. 18, start with the first page, the activity fund. And we talked about the negatives and drama speech. And elementary vocal, that will be wiped out to 0 by junior, senior vocal before June 30th. Your lower, or your far right-hand side, you can see the music total and the athletic totals, which are both doing very well. And robotics club, we're still waiting for that grant we're supposed to be receiving to see what the total balance left to be recovered by another fund will be. And spring canteen, of course, had expenditures before they started spring canteen, which I think is tonight the first spring canteen. So the overall activity fund continues to be doing very well. FFA Enterprise on the top of the next page with our on-site bank account for flex spending, and then agency fund, which are funds that the school district does the bookkeeping for, but the school district does not technically own. And that's where we put all of our Chromebook deposits, because they're all refundable if they're not consumed.
What's the real that?
Well, maybe when them are consumed, they get paid out to the general fund for repairs. If they're lucky enough to keep their $50 in that account, and their student leaves or graduates, they get that back. 19, period vendor reports for all of the things that we just discussed. And lengthy as usual. And it goes for 3 pages. Co-curricular behavior report for the March-April pay period. Very short for athletics, short as you'll see. Classrooms, lengthy for classroom, field trip time. And other for Special Olympics, those expenses are all recouped. And your driver summary at the bottom. Any questions or comments?
approve the bills.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, administrative reports.
So we're a little short of time. Do you have any questions for Mrs. Austin or me for looking at the reports? Really coming down the home stretch. I mean, gosh, not having any snow days and on the 24th, graduation on the 22nd, so mark your calendars.
Thanks, Denise. All right, go to action items.
Talk Canby Grove.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'll try my complete his report.
Yes, yes. All right, consent agenda number 1.
Two resignations is all. Doug Mossinger for high school science teacher and Marcia Hester for junior high girls basketball coach. And two resignations I have this month. Job descriptions, we don't have enough of them anymore to do that year round. We do it on a 4-year cycle, so.
Move to approve consent agenda.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda number 2, policy.
Interesting looking at these, you know, with selection of the architect, site acquisition, et cetera. We're ending our project. It's good to review those policies
There you go.
down the road for this situation again. But speaking of site acquisition area, I met with Chris Ball and Jerry Denny today to get the ball rolling with the sale of that land in the city. So Jerry's going to work that up, and I gave him some information about ed law and what we have to do on our side as far as selling, that property or whatnot. So we put as a target date of the sale to be October 1st, but hopefully everything is prepared and ready to go for that. We just have to pick a date, so that's what we chose. But I have nothing else under consent agenda number 2 as far as any tweaks that I see in the office.
Move to approve consent agenda number 2.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda number 3.
There's 8 of them on there. We have the fiscal 2017 district budget. Fiscal year 2017. SIAC recommendations, if you can look at those. It's just a summary of our meeting that we had in March. The 16-17 Latchkey Handbook, as Mrs. Peterson presented. If you look at number 4, it's the JCL estimated budget for fiscal year 17. Stacy can answer questions on this, but it's different responsibilities on what our financial obligations are, and the state says. Stacy, you have any comments on that?
Well, you'll note as a person stays longer and their salary grows, we pay more because the DHS will only pay up to, as of right now, in our current contract, it says $25,572. And it lists that for fiscal year 17, so.
5 and 6 are both just our cooperative teaching agreements with UNI and Iowa Wesleyan. Those are standard, we do those each year. Number 7 is our K-6 science curriculum materials. Mr. Meyer said Denise could talk about this too if we had questions. And Stacy could talk about the finance piece, but it's part of our rotation each year that we have to replace and update materials. You notice we use a lot of kit-based orderings for the science piece.
This will come out of this year's budget yet, and it will come out of the other ISP, other supplies and equipment, ISP line.
Any questions on that? And then number 8 Zones Inc. at $62,280, $208.15 for the certified laptop computers. So, that's what I presented on the
Motion to approve consent agenda number 3.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Individual consent, change orders, and the demolition.
Yeah, and those will be, just like I said, individually, but the first three are just the change orders, and number 4, when we get to that, it'll be for DW Zinzers, is how I thought I heard Kevin say that,
Correct.
for $193,000 when we get there.
Will we approve change orders, BP,
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Will we approve change orders, BP, 1019, legal. Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries.
I have a question.
On the third one?
Yeah, we're gonna, I mean, is that for sure we're getting?
Well, that's why I want follow-up, that's why I kind of said I want an email. Unfortunately, we have to approve this tonight to get it done.
Yeah, that's
But as far as the costing piece, we would still have some leverage in, retainage fees and those types of things we'd have to pursue if we're not satisfied. But as far as having to pay for it, then we have to get it done.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted him to email us, and we can stay on
Yeah,
top of
nice
it.
to know that.
It's not gonna go away without some.
Still have a little leverage to get.
Good question.
Well, we got, yeah, we got the engineer.
The engineer's a subset of John Allen.
Yeah,
The guy who pushed him to shove, the guy who won't not pay for John, he will.
I don't know how much retainage we have left for John. Bottom line is we have to stay on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, this is what it's going to cost us, and what they pick up will have to be sorted out.
We're approving change order, BP and 11. Second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Lastly, elementary building demolition.
We're approving the bid for the demolition bids from DW.
Zinzer. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I was waiting for the 193,000
Oh, I
money, but that's
didn't throw
okay.
that in.
That's okay. All right.
Very good. Under the hirings piece, you can see the hires we've made over the course of the past month. Eric Grunder for high school social studies. Grace McCombs for 4th grade. Caitlin Dunlap for the junior high language arts. And Rachel Goody Brisker for the kindergarten piece. One that's not mentioned on there is also, because we're sharing the position, and the main contract will be at Durant, is Brad Miller for the 5-8 band position. He's primarily the 5-6, but he's also gonna help out, with lessons and whatnot at the junior high. But Brad Miller will be hired full-time at Durant, and will pay his contract for his half. Excuse me, I did mention earlier about our auction, and that will be on Saturday, June 25th at 10 a.m. There will be more information coming out. There'll be a flyer put together. Try to get as many people to attend as we possibly can. There'll be a showing that Friday night before, kind of open house. And then Saturday morning at 10 a.m. we'll do the sale. So we're looking at possibly have 2 of them going through there, another classroom by classroom, and different things. And we're also looking if there's any materials here at the junior senior high that we aren't using that we think we can sell, we can take out over, and whatnot, and try to sell anything that we need sold.
Do you have specific items you're gonna sell, or just anything in the classroom?
Whatever we don't repurpose and bring over here, we're going to try to sell. Yep.
Now, that's one of the reasons we're kind of going room to room too, depending on what's left in the rooms, rather than trying to put it all in as moving. Go into each room, sell what's in there. And then with Friday being in there, they can go in and people can go, oh, I like room 226 because it's got the certain things I want, so there they go. Just save us from moving stuff around and get it on.
Faster.
Jeff Wallach, the auctioneer, who met with Joe and I and walked through the elementary, was that experience selling off at school, so that's nice that he's seen how it works and whatnot. So, did you talk about having 2 rinks to get us through, and get 2 auctioneers?
That's, yeah, at one point he said, yeah, they may have 2, and then if they have 2 different areas going at the same time, get it done. But he was saying he only thought it'd take a few hours to really get it, go through it and sell it. So it's not gonna be a real long 5 or 6 hour type thing. It's 2-3 hours max.
Short, sweet, get her done.
So, anyway, as you heard earlier, between the whole school reunion, the auction, the asbestos abatement, you know, in the building, it's been an aggressive summer. Let's see, I mentioned Chris Ball. I have talked to Sam about our busing. Right now, the plan is to bring the buses in off the county line in the morning and drop off the kids heading south. Okay, so they're not fighting the traffic on Cypress Street. Obviously, a big concern is our congestion out front of the school. If we keep the buses off of Cypress, it's key. So if they come up around, whether they come up Mauer Street or wherever they come into town, go on the county line, come into the school, drop them off. It's on the same side, you know, when they get off, they go right into the building and then head out the south end of the parking lot. You know, they can either get the, get the Highway 6 on the back way, but, going to Drake Lives and whatnot. But then after school, they'll leave to the north for the same reason that after they pick up the kids, they get to the county line and get out. So, in a perfect world, they would come in, each time in the same direction, but it's not that way. But, it'll be fine. It's great, we're almost done with the regular meeting, we'll be
Yes.
over, if you guys want to caucus or whatever for a couple minutes. Yeah, but if we were talking, maybe we'll come and grab you and have our meeting here since it's more table oriented. Would that be okay? All right. As far as the move, we're working with Joe, we're looking at hiring some additional people for just a couple of weeks to try to get everything over here. We are going to move as much as we can before the school year's out, but it's almost impossible with the desks and trying to get everything done while we still got kids. So we don't want to interrupt the education as much as we can. But once that building is accessible, and there are things that can be brought over, we certainly will. But we see kind of just a 2-week exodus of everything in that building over here once school gets out. And again, with us being done May 24th, it gives us a nice jump start. Guys, there's been years when we've had snow days and it's been on the calendar. I know my first year, I think we didn't get out till June 8th or 9th. So, I mean, there's been years where that really would have pinched us if we had that type of calendar. So, everything seems to be working out well. Legislatively, it was mentioned the governor did sign in the 2.25%. In the conversations I've had with Bobby Kaufman and different things that have been in the papers, there's still discussion on the Iowa assessments going to smarter balanced and how that's going to be funded. And also, there hasn't been a lot of talk lately of the 1 cent sales tax extension. But everything I'm hearing, it sounds like both of those will probably be addressed the next session with the smarter balance too. Which, if they don't have a funding stream for it, that's a good idea. We paid for 615 tests this year, and if it goes up from $3 to $5 a child to $22 to $25 a child, that adds up in a hurry. And that would all be money out of our general fund because we don't have a source. We do, but it's extremely minuscule.
We have a source, but we already spent over 10 years plus more, so.
With the current assessment.
Yes.
So, otherwise, you heard me mention to Kevin, we do have a work session scheduled for April 27th. Let's see how IBB goes tonight. I know some of that will drive, where we're at. But I would like to have John and Kevin there, just to kind of get a wrap on where we're at. I think that'd be a good thing. And then our next regular meeting's Monday, May 9th. So, again, it is crazy how close we are to the end of the school year. And each year truly does fly, and this year is no different. But that's all I had.